Hello, Internet. My name is Matt, also known as the Welcome Matt with one T. And I am here today with my kids to talk to you about 10, actually, not just 10, 15 games that we think are great family games. A bunch of these games I actually play with my kids. And,
puppy games!
well, we're not going to talk about the puppy games, but we are going to talk about 15 really great games for families. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. The first game that I have for you is a small game called For Sale. It is a 3 to 6 player, I believe, game.
Yep, I read it.
Yes, that's right. And it plays in about 20 to 30 minutes. And the first half of the game, you're collecting these houses, and there's all kinds of different houses like igloos and lighthouses and different places that you may live. And then the second half of the game, you are trying to sell them and try to make the most profit and flip them, turn them around, and call it a day. So that is why it's called For Sale. A great little game. This is the travel version. I highly recommend it. You can literally throw this in your pocket. As you can see, it's the size of my hand, and it's a good one. The next one is one that we have not played with you guys yet, but it is called Welcome to the Dungeon. It is a nice 2 to 4 player game. Plays in about half an hour or less, and you're basically trying to out-bluff each other. One of you is going to be one of 4 different heroes that goes into a dungeon, and they have different abilities to beat the bad guys that go into the dungeon, and you're each adding bad guys to the dungeon, and then deciding whether or not you want to go in, and eventually only one of you can go in, and hopefully you have enough items to beat the bad guys. There are great reviews out if you want to know more about the game, but I love it. Nice little bluffing game. Welcome to the dungeon. The next game is for all you word game fans out there, and it is called Hardback. It is a game where you are building your own deck of cards. You're adding, yes, you're adding letters from the tableau in front of you, and they have certain points when you make a word, and the words that you play will get you more points to buy better cards with more abilities and powers. And there are 4 different types of genres of different cards that can combo with each other, like mystery cards or horror cards, or, you know, all the adventure cards, you know, for example. And a lot of back and forth playing against your opponent and making your words. If you can't figure out what words to make with the letters that you draw, your opponents can help you, right? Yeah. This is also another one that my kids have not played yet. They're still learning their words.
Yeah,
but
I already know my words.
And she knows all of them.
Yes, I do. I can sum them out.
That's right. Okay. Well, this is Hardback. I really enjoy this. If you like word games and you're wanting something a little meatier out there, give it a check. Another one that is also good is Paperback, but Hardback is a little more of a deck builder. It's a little more forgiving if you're not great with words like me, or memorizing words from the dictionary. Paperback is a little more difficult in that way. So anyways, there are great reviews out there comparing and contrasting the games, but that is Hardback. The next game on the list is The Hare and the Tortoise, which looks just like a book. How neat is that? But it's a racing game, just like the story of the tortoise and the hare. And you're playing cards, and you're trying to bet on who you think's going to win the race of the different people that are in the race, like the wolf and the fox and the sheep and the hare and the tortoise, all of them running in the race together. Great little kids game. This is a good one for elementary grade kids and up. It is 2 to 5 players, and it plays pretty short, 15, 20,
That's ours.
20 minutes or so.
Every many is ours.
Well, you guys are preschool and kindergarten, which is why you love Robot Turtles, right?
Yeah!
You guys both love this game. Can you tell the people why you like this game?
It's because you can shoot lasers with your guy. Yeah, to like break down walls, but not the wood ones, just the ice ones.
Ivy's exactly right. This is a programming or coding game where you get to teach your kids basically programming and coding and figuring out patterns, and they get to move their robot turtles around, and sometimes they do get to use the laser, and they got to be careful.
Dad, we have some new jewels in there.
And there's jewels that you're trying to be the first robot to get to your jewels before your opponent. If you've ever heard of Robo Rally, it's kind of a more it's older kids and adults, more advanced version of kind of what they downplay for Robot Turtles and make it for little kids. Really great game for preschool and above. I recommend it a lot. Robot Turtles.
Little kids like us.
Just like you guys. The next game on their list is a lighter version of a very popular board game out there called Seven Wonders, and that is Sushi Go Party Edition. It goes up to 8 players, which I don't think I said Robot Turtles is 2 to 5. This one is up to 8 players. Our youth group really likes this game. There are different types of sushi and desserts, and you're taking a card and then passing the other cards to your opponent, and then they're gonna do the same thing, and you keep passing it around until you have no more cards left, and then you score your points at the end of the round, and you do that 3 different times for 3 rounds. And it's a great little light game, and it would be a great game to play while actually eating sushi. So, Sushi Go Party. The next game on this list.
That game.
Yeah, we haven't played it with you guys yet. The next game on our list is called Carcassonne. This is a tile laying game where you're trying to get victory points by doing different things with the tiles, like building cities and towns, or building roads, or trying to build a really big field to put all your animals in, or maybe a really nice large monastery. All kinds of cool things. It's a really nice, fun game. Some of the expansions she loves it. Some of the expansions add some fun things like a dragon that runs around trying to eat all your little meeples. This game has really cute, you can see like the different meeples this game has. We love Carcassonne. It is a great game, and you can kind of choose how long you want it to be by taking away or adding tiles to it. So that's Carcassonne. Now this game, Asher loves this game, right? King of New York. There's also King of Tokyo. King of New York adds a couple of more mechanics that King of Tokyo is a little lighter. There's a few less things that you can do. So for littler kids, I do recommend King of Tokyo. My kids are not really old enough to play this by themselves, but they do love rolling dice, and it's kind of like Yahtzee. You're rolling these big, chunky, cool-looking dice, and you've got monsters that are almost like kaiju from Pacific Rim, for example, the movie.
Weird dice.
And the monsters are all fighting for control of New York. It's like King of the Hill, but King of New York. And so they're fighting for control of Manhattan in this game. Or King of Tokyo, they're fighting for control over Tokyo, for instance. And so it's a nice, fun, cool kids game. There's different cards with different abilities that they can buy, and you can force your opponent to get out of Manhattan. And you're basically trying to be the last monster standing. And this game does have player elimination because of that, so please be aware that sometimes whoever loses first may have to sit around for 5 or 10 minutes while everyone else finishes playing. It's 2 to 6 players. There are expansions for it, and I really enjoy this one. And everyone I've played it with has enjoyed it. King of New York. Next game on the list is for the more, probably more older aged families, middle school, high school, and older. It's Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. It goes from anywhere to 1 to 8 players. It's a fairly long game. You're probably looking at least an hour and a half. But you're trying to solve mysteries together. And I think there is 10 of them in here. I can't remember exactly how many. There are 10 cases, yes, in this game. And you get, hey guys, let's not do that right now. So you basically get points based on how well you do in the game. And so you can, of course, try to keep playing it over and over, and or the different cases one after the other, and improve your score. And that is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. The next game on the list is a game that my kids love. You guys love this game, right? You guys are really quiet. Stuffed Fables, right?
Yes, Stuffed Fables.
Okay. Stuffed Fables is an adventure book game where you have an adventure book, and so on one side of the book,
you gotta save the little girl from her nightmares.
Yes, you're trying to save the little girl from her nightmares, and all sorts of things happen, like her stuffed animals may go missing, or she's trying not to wet the bed, and things like that. And so it definitely hits on some of the struggles that little kids in particular are facing.
And we still gotta help her.
We still gotta help her. Yeah, we haven't finished playing this game yet, but we've played some of it. And so one side you have the story that you as the adult can read through, and then the other side you have the little characters. There's different characters with their matching figures for this game. And the figures are really great. You can actually paint them and stuff and have a lot of fun with that. And so that is Stuffed Fables.
Wait,
it is
have
2 to... How many players does this one go up to? Is it just 4?
Hey,
it is
Dad,
4.
Dad, look. We haven't seen this guy or this guy yet.
Yeah, we haven't even met 2 of the characters yet in this game. So you meet them some of them along the way. My kids really enjoy this game. I will say some of the image in this game are a little scary. And I'm not really sure if it's kid-friendly for the littlest of kids, or you really need to just know what your kids can take. There are some bad guys in this game that I don't know if my kids are ready for yet, so we haven't played some of those missions yet. Okay. And so, of course, this is you as the parent. You need to use discretion here on what's too scary for your kids. But it is a great game, though. It tells some really interesting stories. A lot of opportunities for the kids to help each other and cooperate, right? Like you can share stuffing if your stuffy loses some and you can help each other. So I really enjoy that aspect of the game, and there's some neat lessons that each of the different sections in the story will teach the kids along the way. So that is Stuffed Fables. Now the next game on this list is one that my kids have not played yet, but there is a kid version of it. It's called My Ticket to Ride First Journey, but this is Ticket to Ride New York, which is kind of a shorter version of the game. There's also the full-size Ticket to Ride, which is closer to an hour. I actually recommend Ticket to Ride Europe, even though you may not be familiar if you live in the United States with some of the names of the cities, especially being that it represents cities from the 1900s.
Happy to go.
There's a few extra mechanics that you can add into the game, and the cards are a bigger size than the Ticket to Ride cards are a little tinier. The original Ticket to Ride, which has the United States as the map, is also a little more competitive in terms of like you can cut off other players and what they're trying to do and kind of mess up their strategy. So it can kind of be a little mean for some people if they're not used to games like that. What we, are a little more tighter with the mechanics, if that makes sense. So, but Ticket to Ride New York is a great starting place for the Ticket to Ride series if you've never played one before.
Dad,
When we watch what?
play our blob game.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe when we're done with this video. The next game on our list, my kids do enjoy, and it's called Dixit. And this is a great family game, great party game. You basically you'll pick a word, or maybe it could be a saying, or it can be, a musical thing from some sort of movie, and you can just give a clue, and then everyone is going to pick a card from their hand that they think is closest to the clue. And what you're trying to do is get people to guess the right card, because you'll mix all those cards together, and then everyone's going to guess which one they think the person who gave the clue put out there. And so what you want is for at least one person to guess right, but you also don't want everyone to guess it right. You want to trick some of the people too. So it's a really interesting game where you can kind of get to know people, get how they think, what they enjoy. Some people will play it a little more seriously. Some people will play it pretty silly. And so I really enjoy it, though. Lots of interesting pictures that can be interpreted ambiguously in different ways. So Dixit, really beautiful game. Lots of fun party game. And since there's no words, it's language. It's not language dependent, which is great. It means you can play it all over the place. The next game on this list, my kids enjoy. You guys like this game, right?
Yeah, it's scary.
It's scary. Oh, that's because there is a ghost in this game. And there's a genie. And there's the ghost. And there's also a skull and a bat. And it's kind of... Oh, let's not scream. It's kind of cartoonized, but this is Labyrinth. And basically in this game, you are trying to push the tile pieces around. And when you push a tile, it'll push all the tiles in that row. And you are trying to create a path to get your person to the different treasures that you need to pick up and collect. And once you collect all the different treasures in the maze, then you will head back to where you started in the labyrinth. And the first person to get all their treasures and get back to the starting place is the winner. And so my kids really had fun playing this. This is the first game my kids sat down And they just were having so much fun messing with each other. If you guys remember, they kept pushing the tiles so they would knock the other person's treasure out. And so they played this game for over an hour, and they could not stop playing. Their eyes were glued on it the whole time. It's 2 to 4 players. Labyrinth, really great kids game. We've got 2 more left on the list. The next one, Asher really likes this one.
Me too.
Oh, Ivy likes it too? Okay. Battle Ball.
My favorite.
Battle Ball is a nice, fun, futuristic football game. It's got these really cool miniatures, and it's got dice that you roll, so you can see here some of the minis. They actually come painted, and they're actually pretty decent quality. You can find this game really cheap if you go on Board Game Geek. A lot of people are selling it for maybe $10, $15. So it is a great cheap game. It's only a 2-player game, but you're basically trying to score. It's like football, but you roll your dice and you can tackle people really hard, and different runners are faster than others and some tackle harder than others. There's also, I recommend you check out, if you're looking for a little more of a deeper strategy version of this game, there are some variants on Board Game Geek. Let's not do that, Speed. And I recommend you check that out to learn more about Battle Ball.
Yeah, you can.
And the last game for our 15 games that we recommend for families is called what Asher calls the Penguin game, which is Ice Cool. And in Ice Cool, it's actually what's called a box within a box game. So as I pull off the lid here, you can see there are multiple boxes in here that you lay out, and you'll use the fish to clip together, and you are flicking your penguins around. And when you flick the penguins, you can actually flick them in certain ways that they will fly over the walls, or they bounce off walls and go through the holes to different corners. Like you can see some of the holes here, or in here if I show it like that. And you are trying to avoid the hall monitor while catching the fish of your color. There's also a way where you combine the 2 different versions of this game, Ice Cool 2, to make a really giant racing track. It can go up to 8 players if you have both of them, 4 players for each. And my youth group loved it. Our kids really love this game. They love putting the little boxes together and flicking the penguins around and trying to do cool tricks and get points by picking up the fish and such. That is Ice Cool. Well, there are a lot of other great family games out there, but we hope that this list at least gives you a great place to start. If you have any family games that you would like to recommend, please post them in the comments below. If you want to know more about those games, please mention that in the comments as well, or you can send me a message, and maybe we'll do a video talking more depth about those games in the future. With that being said, this is Matt, also known as the Welcome Matt, signing off. Have a great day.